Episode 1: The Curse of Umudu. They say Umudu was once a land of laughter, where yams grew as wide as calabashes, where streams ran clear and cold through the valleys, and the moon always shone soft on the roofs of clay homes. But that was long ago, before the curse. Now, Umudu breathes in silence, the kind that hangs like thick smoke, calling through every cracked hut and hungry field. The river has dried to a whisper. The crops die in the soil before they learn to stand. Women weep in secret as their wombs betray them, either birthing death or nothing at all. The old mutter forgotten prayers, and the young learn not to hope. Goats are born with twisted legs. Chickens lay eggs without yolk, and at night, strange winds crawl through the trees, carrying whispers that no one dares translate. Sometimes, children say they see shadows dancing near the shrine in the woods. Sometimes, elders find salt scattered in the air like dust. They say the gods are angry, but no one knows why. The stories are many. Some say an ancestor broke a pact. Others say a sacred object was stolen. One tale claims Umudu was not cursed, but protected, and that someone somewhere betrayed that protection. Still, every season, the villagers gather. Sacrifices are made. Blood is spilled. Bones are burned. Drums are beaten until palms crack. But the skies stay dry. The silence stays heavy. And in all this, something waits. Something that has not been touched for generations. Something deep beneath Umudu's soil. The boy they never saw, his name was Obina, born of a woman whose name was barely spoken and whose face lived only in whispers. No one ever claimed him. No man stood up to say, "He is mine." The elders said he was a curse, a mistake that lived. Noah Aruruala, they called him, a child of abomination. He grew up beneath the shadow of the great palm grove, in a crumbling hut that smelled of dust and forgotten prayers. His mother had died with her secrets, and Obina, he lived with them. No one played with him. When he passed, children were pulled closer to their mothers. He was not welcome at the stream nor the market square. When he came near, conversations fell into silence, like the village itself recoiled from his breath. He wore the same pair of trousers year after year, patched so many times it was more thread than cloth. His shirt hung limp on his thin frame, and his eyes were the only thing that never dimmed. They held something fierce, something ancient, something that dared to survive. He never shouted, never fought. He simply endured. He watched the village mock him, and then knead him, ask him to sweep the shrine, but forbid him to kneel inside it. He watched the sons of men be praised for less than he had done in silence. He carried water, split firewood, chased goats, and still, no one called his name with honor. But Obina never begged, not for love, not for acceptance. He lived alone, spoke little, but his eyes listened to everything. In his heart, he bore a rage so quiet it felt like grief. Not a rage that burned, but one that waited. And every night, as the moon lit the sleeping roofs of Umudu, Obina would lie in his corner of the world and wonder if he was ever meant to be seen at all.
The day the drums turned silent in Umudu, there was one day that even sorrow made way for joy. The Ofufe festival. Men sharpened their flutes. The village square was swept clean and the elders lit 7 lamps to honor the ancestors. Children wore jingles around their ankles, their laughter rising with the drumming. Every heart smelled of ukodo and spice, the scent thick with celebration. The whole of Umudu looked forward to this day, even Obina. Though he had no family, no one to weave beads into his hair, no one to starch his tunic or paint his face with chalk symbols, he had heard the drums thumping from his corner of the village, and for reasons he could not explain, he decided to go. He didn't dress for the festival. He had nothing new to wear. He simply dusted his feet, brushed his shirt, and walked into the village square with a quiet heart. He watched from behind the trees as the crowd danced in circles, their hands in the air, feet stamping rhythm into the earth. The sacred dancers in red masks swirled, calling down the spirit of Ofufe. Obina's chest tightened, not from pain, but longing. He stepped closer and closer until his feet brushed the edge of the dancing circle. Someone noticed. The music faltered. Then a voice, sharp and mocking, cut through the rhythm. Who led that bastard near the sacred ground? A wave of laughter followed. Obina froze. The light of the lanterns burned into his skin. Eyes turned. Fingers pointed. He will bring ruin to our joy. He should dance in the bush with the spirits that bore him. A woman spat on the ground near his feet. Children jeered. A boy flung a mango peel at his chest. Then a stone. Then another. He stumbled back, shielding his face, mouth closed. His breath came fast. His ears rang with insults, and somewhere in the noise, someone hissed that he should have never been born. He ran. His feet pounded against the dusty earth, away from the square, past the tall fence of the blacksmith's hut, past the yam barns and wells, past everything familiar. He didn't stop. Into the woods he ran. The branches clawed at his arms. The shadows thickened. The drums faded. His tears mixed with sweat, but his face stayed dry. He had forgotten how to cry. Deep in the forest, where the moonlight struggled to touch, Obina screamed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was a cracked sound, like a branch breaking under its own weight. He walked for hours, through thorns and fog. The forest floor softened under his steps. At some point, he realized he had passed the same crooked tree again. He was walking in circles, lost, unseen. And somewhere in the silence, the forest heard him, but it did not speak.
Episode 4. Whispers in the dark. The forest was unnaturally still. No insects, no wind. Obina stood beneath the crooked tree, breathing hard. Then he heard it, not his heartbeat. A faint sound, a whisper, or a hum. Old, distant, unsettling. It wasn't human. It wasn't spirit. It felt ancient. Every part of him wanted to turn back, but something deeper pulled him forward. Not curiosity, need. He began to walk. The sound guided him along a narrow, unfamiliar path. Thorny vines lined the way, the ground damp beneath his feet. The trees grew taller, darker, until mist swallowed the forest. Ahead stood a massive black rock, a cave, wide, silent, waiting. The sound faded as if it had gone inside. Obina stepped in. The cave was cold and wet at first, moonlight barely reaching the walls. Then the air changed, warm, heavy. The sound returned, stronger, not calling, singing. The tunnel opened into a hidden chamber, and there it was, a crystal floating in midair. It shimmered with shifting colors, pulsing softly like a living heart. Light spilled across the cave walls. Obina felt heat rise within him. Old pain, loneliness, scars he never spoke of, all stirred. The crystal glowed brighter as he approached, as if it recognized him, drawn by something he didn't understand. Obina raised his hand. The hum filled the chamber. He knew it wasn't meant for him. Still, he touched it. Obina woke on the old raffia mat in his hut, cold. His clothes were damp with soil and dew. He couldn't remember how he got home. His last memory was the forest, the cave, the blinding light. Everything after that was gone. Yet something had changed. Sleep brought no rest, only dreams, fire-healed visions, whispers in forgotten tongues, eyes watching from the dark. Each night they returned, stronger, closer. Something ancient had been stirred. At first, no one listened to him. Why would they? He was still the child of abomination, the name missing from the ancestral book. The boy once feared at the market. When he warned Mama Ijele not to let her son fetch water by the river, she spat at his feet and dragged the boy away. The next day, they found the child by the stream, his leg broken, bitten by a snake, alive. He warned the hunter, Nduka, not to cross the western trail. Nduka laughed. 2 days later, his body was found in the bushes. His gun unfired. He told the palm wine tapper, Okori, to avoid the tall tree near the abandoned farmland. Okori climbed it anyway. They found him dead at dawn. Slowly, the whispers changed. Obina's name was no longer spoken with hatred. That's a fear. Then came the night that changed everything. He warned Adogo, young and pregnant, not to let her child sleep near the fire. Adogo obeyed. That night, violent winds tore through the village. A spark lit the mat where the child should have been. Flames spread before they were stopped. The child was untouched. By morning, the village knew. The boy, who once ate alone, now had people kneeling before him. Obina said nothing, did nothing. Still, they came. The Igwe summoned him. A hut was built for him on sacred land. Offerings appeared at his door. Men called him the Marked One. Some said he was a forgotten ancestor returned. Others said he died in the forest and came back changed, but not everyone believed. During the Obu festival, as drums thundered and palm wine flowed, a voice rose above the crowd. If you are truly chosen, said Okafor the blacksmith, standing, then end the famine. The village fell silent. Episode 6. The Sava Beacon's hunger tightened its grip on Umudu. Streams dried, soil cracked, goats weakened. Children cried through the night, bellies swollen with emptiness. Obinna sat beneath the withering fig tree behind his hut. The villagers had given him a deadline. If you are truly chosen, they said, end the famine. He had no answers. Only the fire in his chest, burning since the day he entered the cave. That night, sleep took him deep. He stood inside the cave again, but it was alive. The stone pulsed like a living heart. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the walls. The air vibrated, heavy and warm. Water fell from above like quiet tears. Obina woke with a sharp breath, his body sleek with sweat. He didn't understand it, but the pull was undeniable. Before dawn, he left. No food, no lantern, only the echo in his chest to guide him. The forest shifted around him, yet his feet never faltered. The wind whispered, the trees parted. Then, the cave, still, waiting. Inside, the stone glowed brighter. The hum deepened. A sudden sting burned across Obina's palm. Warmth spilled down his fingers. The cave growed low. Then silence, nothing more. Weak and drained, Obina staggered out before sunrise. By morning, rain fell on Umudu, soft, gentle. The earth drank deeply. Trees shivered. Villagers ran from their huts, faces lifted in awe. The whispers returned. He spoke to the gods. He is more than a man. Obina returned, soaked and silent, but his eyes burned with something new. They brought him food, cloth, gifts. Some bowed as he passed. Yet deep inside, he knew he had not ended anything. He had begun something. That night, the cave called again. Episode 7. The rise of Oniziri Obinna was no longer the boy the village rejected. The son of no one had become the man everyone bowed to. Children followed him through the paths. Women left bowls of food by his door. Elders who once whispered curses now rose when he entered. He was given a hut on the hill built with clean wood and red clay. From there, the village stretched beneath him, quiet and waiting. People came every day for healing, for answers, for hope, and Obina gave. At dusk, he would leave the village and slip into the forest. In the silence of the cave, he placed his hands near the glowing stone. Words spilled from his mouth, old, unfamiliar, yet certain, and the cave answered. A sick man rose the next morning. A lost goat returned home. A broken marriage found peace. The village gave him a name for misery. Obina smiled more now. He ate well. He wore fine wrappers sewn by careful hands. In the market, voices fell quiet as he passed. There he is, they whispered. A gift from the gods. But when night came and the fire in his hut burned low, Obina lay awake staring at his marked hand. The glow had faded, yet it had spread. Still life felt good, too good. Wrapped in praise, Obina did not notice the shadow that had begun to follow him. Because sometimes what feeds your glory quietly starves your soul. Episode 8. Shadows beat at the soul. It began with the wind. Not the dry breeze Umudu knew, but a heavy gust that smelled of burnt earth and wet rust. Trees rustled without moving. Birds flew in confused circles, refusing to land. Then came the first sign. The village well turned black, not muddy. Thick, dark, alive. An elder dipped his hand into it and recalled with a cry. The people stepped back, fear tightening their throats. That night, a child went missing. His mother's wail split the darkness. As search parties combed the fields, the bushes, the riverbanks, they found nothing. No footprints, no blood, no sign. At dawn, a goat was born with its legs twisted backward, its body shaking as it breathed. The villagers carried it to Obina's hut and bowed. Deliver us, O chosen one. Obina stood still. The power had brought him honor, praise, worship. But the cave no longer spoke in gentle visions. Now it whispered, and the whispers clawed at his mind. Soon, hands began laying empty shells. No yoke, no life, only hollow silence. When an old man's hut caught fire, burning with a cold flame that left no ash, village no longer whispered. They gathered in the square. Since you speak with the spirits, a man shouted, "End this curse." Eyes turned to Obina. He smiled faintly, but his heart beat like a war drum. He lowered his head. "Give me time," he said softly. Episode 9. The man in the shadows. The moon hung low as Obina walked toward the cave. The forest was too quiet. Even the night seemed to be watching him. Dry leaves crunched beneath his bare feet. The wind carried whispers that sounded like his name. The dreams had returned, clearer, heavier. Fire, watching eyes, voices that warned but never explained. Still, the cave pulled him. The villagers called him chosen now. The savior. He could not fail them. The famine had eased. Laughter had returned, so the dark signs remained. Black water, dead animals, a missing child. The cave entrance loomed darker than before. Inside, the air felt wrong. Obina knelt before the glowing stone and whispered the words the dreams had taught him. Then, "That is not meant for you." The voice was calm, sad. Obina turned. An old man stood in the shadows. His eyes glowed faintly, not with power, but with age. "Who are you?" Obina asked. his voice shaking. "I am the keeper," the man said, stepping forward, "and you have disturbed what was sealed." "I only wanted to help my people," Obina whispered. The keeper's face hardened. That stone was never a gift. It was a lock. The stone flickered violently. Cold filled the cave. Each time you used it, something awakened, the keeper said. "It gives light, but it also releases shadow." Obina's knees weakened, but the famine ended. "Yes," the old man replied softly. "And soon they will blame you when the land turns against them." Silence pressed in. "You must choose," the keeper said. "Restore the balance, or watch Umudu destroy itself." The stone paused once. Obina's heart thundered in his chest. Episode 10: The Balance. How can I return the balance? Obina's voice was hoarse, swallowed by the echoes of the cave. He stood at the center of the stone chamber, trembling hands clutching the artifact that had given him power, glory, and now unbearable weight. The old man stepped forward, cloaked in shadow. His eyes, ancient and knowing, glowed faintly. "You cannot run from what has already been written," he said calmly. "The stone is etching itself into your soul. You are no longer just Obina. You are the disruption, and you must be the restoration." Obina's heart sank. The dreams, the visions, the warnings he ignored, the marks on his skin, the voices in the wind, the eyes in the dark, they were not signs of power. They were signs of death. "A soul for a soul," the old man murmured. "The gods are not angry. They are waiting. What your people called a curse was a shield, and you broke it." Obina closed his eyes. Tears clung to his lashes. In that moment, everything flooded him: loneliness, love, regret, pride. He remembered the festival, the whispers, the shame. The boy no one wanted, who became the man everyone praised. Now he understood. This was never about glory. It was about balance. He stepped forward and placed the stone at the center of the altar. A low hum filled the cave. The earth trembled. "Will they ever know what I did?" Obina asked. The old man's voice softened. "Maybe, maybe not. But the earth will. And that is enough." Obina smiled faintly. He lifted his face to the fading light and whispered, "Let them leave." The cave pulsed once, like a heartbeat, then silence. Days passed. The famine ended. Rain returned, gentle and steady. Crops grew. The village thrived. But Obina was never seen again. Some said he walked into the night. Some said he became one with the gods. Some swore they saw him smiling in the rain. Others built a shrine where he once lived. But all agreed on one thing. Obina, the boy no one wanted, became the man the earth remembered. A sacrifice, a balance restored. In the quiet corners of Umudu, where fireflies danced and children gathered beneath moonlight, his story was told in hushed voices. Elders spoke of the child of abomination who became a bridge between man and mystery. Women whispered his name in prayer. Hunters left offerings near the forest path he once walked. The cave was never found again, as though the earth itself closed around it. Years later, a festival was named after him. Obina celebrated songs, dances, and silence. Always silence. For the boy who became the balance, and in the wind that moved through the tall grasses of Umudu, one could still hear the words, "If they listened, let them live, not as sorrow, but as a blessing." Obina, cursed by birth, blessed in death. At the end.